The one strategy I think works better than any with people is that human memory is like that of a goldfish. Nobody remembers shit. Like I was having this conversation with a friend last evening and we were like, do you remember COVID? Because I don't. It's forgotten.
That could be long COVID, it impacts memory.
People forget everything beyond a certain point of time.
We started with 2,400 applications, and now we have our top 10 startups.
The professor said, I don't care. If you want to work, I'll sneak you into the campus.
What did you find?
A lot of stuff, most of it being confidential, everything from Ponzi schemes to misappropriating client securities and funds.
I drove to his house, he was sleeping, I was throwing rocks at his balcony.
The aim of the 20 lakh grant is to take them to market readiness and to get them prepared for a further raise. Welcome to the second cohort of the WTF Fund.
Okay, let's start with him. Why don't you tell us about your startup, tell us where you're from, tell us how your parents were growing up and your political affiliation as well. I feel like it'll add more context to the conversation we had. Yeah.
My name is Ayush, and I'm from Allahabad, Prayagraj, whatever you have to say.
I knew it.
Till class 12th, my only goal in life was coming first in the class. That's it. And
One which was achieved, I'm assuming.
yeah, sometimes not. But yeah, I used to remain among the top 3 and everything. Then came to college, and then I realized, okay, now...
Which college?
ITK, IT Kanpur. And then I realized, okay, now we have to think about passions and all those kind of things.
And what did you find?
So yeah, I spent my first year mostly discovering what I could find, and I was also still passionate about the first passion was still getting the best grades in ACADS and somehow change my branch from mechanical to CSE or MTH so that I can still get the best package and everything. I'm really happy that my second semester went bad and I did not get a branch change, so I at least got the time to get off from that whole treadmill and start thinking about, okay, then what interests me as a person. And then I came across Team Era, got selected in it, I guess, and then that team was made, like the professors and the seniors were really badass. Like, but what I mean by badass is like, when we wanted to work on the robots and there was the COVID, they just, the professor said, I don't care, if you want to work, I'll sneak you into the campus.
You had a very different upbringing than mine. In a very good way.
Did you get into IIT because of you were passionate of it, or was it something like parental pressure?
There was no pressure. I won't say it was pressure, but I didn't know anything else other than that. It was just like that. My father didn't pressurize me into getting into IIT, but like, what else should I do? Like,
And you finished IIT, you completed it?
yeah.
Got a great job and everything?
I got the job in, like, I had a PPO in PNG. Then I extended my degree to dual degree so that I could explore chances of research and all, because by that time I had made up my mind that, okay, robots are something that interests me and I'm no more in the race. I realized that, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, eventually, as you said, people don't have a long memory. There was a lot of pressure from my family for UPSC, obviously, because from UP Bihar, it is like if you are in IIT, you have to prepare for UPSC. But I realized that cracking the UPSC is one singular event where people recognize you. That is the greatest level of validation you can get in India. But people will forget after that. Do I want to do that job? Then it's
Is that priority not to be forgotten?
See, that is what I'm saying. That I thought about on myself. Am I interested in that job, or am I interested in that validation which you get from UPSC? I realized that I was more interested in the validation part and not in the job part. And that should not be a strong reason for you to pursue something like that. Vishrant came along. Vishrant...
Similar background?
No.
Extremely opposite. Extremely opposite.
Yeah, maybe I'll just introduce myself and the company as well. So I'm from Mumbai. I was really passionate about aerospace. Like growing up, I'm one of the SpaceX-inspired generations. And I always wanted to pursue aerospace from IIT Kanpur because supposedly it was the best aerospace department for India. Went to IIT Kanpur.
Same background.
I mean...
IIT.
Yeah, so we are all three from the same college. We are all three co-founders as well.
So I am from Bareilly, UP. Lot different upbringing from him. I used to play sports a lot in my township. So we had a lot of sports facilities. So all I used to do was play sports. But I was good in science, so I just gave JEE, went to IIT Kanpur. Then I explored a lot of fields, and robotics was something that interested me a lot. So yeah, I joined their project.
So I was into space robotics. He was into pure mechanical robotics. He had built battle bots, and he was working on machine learning applications for mechanical systems. In our 4th year, we started working on a snake-like robotic arm, which was purely a technical thing that we wanted to work on, because it was also a very fictionalized, futuristic project. Like Spider-Man sort of Octavius had these snake-like robotic arms. So just out of just
Is it
curiosity.
like the Tesla charger?
Yeah, it's one of the versions of that. So we were just me and Ayush were in Canada at the same time, and because we were together, we used to ideate, let's try to make this one for an hour, while we are still students. It started off as a college project, eventually realized that there was a lot of commercial potential to it, which then eventually we got a pre-seed funding before we even had graduated. So that allowed us to, straight from the college, he had a PPA, wanted to do a PhD, he had a placement as well, but that funding allowed us to directly pursue that project.
How much funding did you get?
Till now, we have raised a total of 125K. Only 40K was funding, rest was grants.
125,000 US dollars. And you're doing it full time, no job and all?
Yeah. Currently, we're all on this full time. Yeah.
Right. And what level are you at right now?
We currently have a TRL4 robotic arm, which is a 1.5 meter robotic arm. Our goal is to have it ready by the end of this year and start deploying it to the market. We got a lot of so Indian Air Force had published a tender a couple of months ago that they wanted to automate their Mirage 2000's internal engine inspection. And so there was a lot of traction from the commercial side. We talked to a couple of other big aircraft engine manufacturing companies. And so that we had a product in hand, we had a proof of concept in hand, we had a traction, customer traction, and that allowed us to kind of keep working on the company.
All the startups, this is a part of the WTF fund, that while we give a 20 lakh grant, we also have a built-in clause that we can continue funding them down the line as they raise further. The aim of the 20 lakh grant is to take them to market readiness and to get them prepared for a further raise. We have rights in all the startups to invest further, and every startup that we've chosen, especially in this cohort, has been chosen with a couple of things in mind, right? One is the kind of sectors that they can enter. These are sectors that have high traction and high stickiness. Second is exponentiality, that each of these startups can actually have so many use cases. As investors, our job is not to put money, it's to see the future with them. That is what we're trying to do here. And three, it is very fundamentally to go ahead and accelerate the Indian entrepreneurial journey to its next level. And I always say this, that people keep complaining, why don't young people do important things like build DeepSeek in India? Where is the support? We are the first arm of support coming up. Everybody here has big global ambitions with cutting edge tech. And we want to make sure that they reach those ambitions as quickly as possible with the right capital.
Good job, guys. Very, very impressed. Who'd like to go next? Would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, sure. If you guys want to go.
So we're building in the fraud detection space. I started out at NSE, the National Stock Exchange, stockbroker fraud investigation.
What did you find?
A lot of stuff, most of it being confidential, everything from Ponzi schemes to misappropriating client securities and funds. Seen a lot of
Tell us one scam, the biggest one.
Okay, not revealing any names. A very fun story actually. It was not while I was at NSE, I moved to KPMG, but a forensic investigation for a stockbroker. First time flying out to Hyderabad, and I'm like, okay, fine, you're flight out, you're stayed at 5 stars, and I'm like, perfect, 1 month of my life. I fly out to Hyderabad, a very dusty stockbroker office. There are 30 tables, but 4 employees. They're coming in slippers and shorts, hired off the previous day.
That's like us.
We go into the entire audit. Takes us a month. We come up with stuff, and what the guy effectively has done is, going a little into details, he goes to the promoters of companies and says, okay, fine, give me your shares as loan off market transfers, the securities at a 4% interest.
4%
per annum. That's it. So he pledges the stocks effectively.
Little bit like borrowing from SLB, from the lending and borrowing mechanism.
but completely off. So off-market transfer, so it does not hit the market. The moment he has all the securities, he'll do trades with his own sister stockbroking company. So if he's taken the share is at 20%, it goes up to 50%, let's say within a period of 2 months. He'll sell it off at 50%, 50 rupees. So from 20 rupees to 50 rupees, made all the profit. And then after that, he's pocketed the money. But all of this was happening in customer accounts. It took us the longest period of time to identify how. So we identified all of this, went back to whoever had appointed us.
And he was sharing the profit, the customer?
There was no entry for sharing the profit. So what the guy was very smartly doing was, let's say now from the 20 rupees to 50 rupees, he's on 5 crores in the customer account. And there should be a transfer from the customer account to the stockbroker's own account. That's only when he's benefited, right? And there was no such entry. What he was very smartly doing was taking intraday positions in Reliance and HDFCs of the world of 5 crores and 10 crores and charging insane brokerage on these trades. So let's say he'll buy Reliance for 5 crores and within a minute place a sell trade of 5 crores. And he's charging brokerage on both the sides. And that's how he's moving the money out of
But very inefficient way to take out money, right? You'll have to pay STT, stamp duty.
Very inefficient, but very difficult to track it because his entire purpose was to scam the system, right? The other way he can transfer the money directly, right? But that's something that we would have called directly. If we went and asked them, okay, fine, why have you placed these trades? He had everything in place that the customer has authorized me to place these trades. It becomes very difficult to pin. So very smartly thought out is the way I'll put it.
They used to use this one method. I don't know if that scam is still on, but they would use out-of-money options to transfer money from one account to another. One would buy, one would write.
Seen a lot of it. So a bunch of Ponzi schemes. So like when came in, just putting the name, the entire way that the shares get pledged, all of it got changed. So,
but it has gotten a lot better, no? I think SEBI has done a great job in terms of.
That's why we're building in the space. We know how the regulator is very stringent. So moved to KPMG after that and then worked with a lot of banks during that period. And the space is super hot. So we'll discuss what we are building. So we're building fraud detection for banks and fintechs in general. So we help automate the process. So all of it is currently been done super manually. And we go and so we have agentic AIs who automate a lot of the processes.
What kind of fraud?
So currently...
We all have this software where we put in, what is it called? World Check.
Yeah,
Yes.
So World Check does sanction screening primarily and PEP check. So sanction screening, let's say my name is on a list that I'm a terrorist, just assuming, in the US, okay? And my name is on the list, they'll check my name against the list. That's a very basic screening. What we effectively do is two things. Whether who the person claims to be is, whether he's the same person, that's the first check, and whether his...
How do you check that?
So there are a multitude of metrics. So KYC data is very... I'll give out a example of how we are solving for it. We are working with, so we have received a signed LOI from one of the largest payment aggregators in India. They onboard a ton of merchants onto their platform and transactions flow through the platform. Currently, what is happening is there's a scam going on called the Billa Ayodhya scam, okay? You go onto the site, say like hotels in Ayodhya, it's the first thing that pops up. You click onto a very real looking website. The moment you click onto the website, you go ahead and book the room and make a payment. The moment you make the payment, then you turn up at the hotel, obviously, and the hotel does not exist. Now the guy will go file a complaint with the cops or his bank or the payment aggregator, and the payment aggregator is effectively on the hook for all of these payments.
Yep.
So what we do is effectively to make sure that the people who are onboarding actually exist, and there are a multitude of data points we look at to come up with the answer. So that is one of the use cases we're solving for.
So the payment aggregator use cases, we first of all, if a scam happens, payment aggregator is responsible for onboarding that merchant. So they are on that hook for the money. And secondly, they cannot let money laundering happen through their portfolio, right? So this is a use case for payment aggregators. We are also working with one of the small finance banks right now. The pilot will start. So there the use case is mule accounts, right? So what we are essentially building right now is the rails on which fraud prevention will be sold to these banks. So what M2P did for banking, what Lentra did for lending infra, we're building the fraud prevention infra as a service.
Are you making revenue already?
No, we're not making revenue. So when we were starting out, we were told like it is very difficult to sell to banks and the financial industry in general is what was told to us as a feedback. So we went in and had a multitude of conversations that has been way lesser than what we expected. So the pilot start, which will be a normally paid pilot, and we'll be hitting revenues right after that.
What kind of licenses do you need to execute your business?
Yeah,
and how much time does it take to get those licenses?
Yeah, it takes a few months. So PCI DSS, SOC 2, these are the standard compliance requirements that you need to have in place while selling to financial institutions.
Is it the same one banks have, or it's something different just for?
Just for, so a subset of it.
And are these licenses, like, were they existed like 10 years ago, 15 years ago? It's fairly new.
These are pretty standard. So all of the companies who deal with sensitive data, financial data, so these are pretty standard.
Razorpay and all have these.
Yeah, they'll have
They all
it.
have
Yeah.
it.
And where does AI come in?
Yep, happy to speak about it. So what we are essentially automating is the process of finding out these red flags. So banks currently looking at transaction monitoring. What you need to change is lifetime monitoring, right? And why is that important? Because banks never learn from their loopholes. So if a fraudster is hitting them, banks will wake up 2-3 months down the line and they've never pieced together the modus operandi. And that's what we help them with. We piece together the modus operandi. And how we actually improve that is by building graph infrastructure, which helps find linkages between fraudsters. A lot of precedents in the US, but we've been doing this for the first time in India.
So how we look at it, like it use case across the sector. So we are already in conversations with a few e-commerce players because there's return scam. Stockbrokers obviously with front running and there are a lot of it. So building for that space primarily.
Should we come this side?
Hi, I'm Rakshit, and we are building Ai.gnosis, which is essentially a AI-based ecosystem where we care about the child's development. I did my schooling from Jaipur. I come from a family of doctors. We both actually come from families. Both our fathers are pediatricians, and that's where we realized that there's a lot of things which would be done for the entire pediatric healthcare vertical to get more value out of it. So what we have come up with and what we are building right now is an AI-driven test, which is like a screening test for a child's overall development. So think of it like why there is always been a dental camp. Why is there a BMI in my school? Why is there a height and weight? But nobody is talking about my milestone as an individual I have to achieve. So a 3-month-old baby has to start babbling. A 6-month-old baby has to do certain things. Now, with all these milestones, what happens if there's any delay? There's probability that there could be any neurodiversity present in the kid. Now, what we essentially do is we tell you a developmental harmony score, and on the basis of that, you can figure out whether your child is more towards a neurotypical behavior or is he towards a developmental, like the different neurodivergent one. So that's what we are particularly doing. We have made up a 5-minute screening tool where the child watches a video. And on the basis of that, we are tracking certain biomarkers. We are figuring out how his eyes are moving, how his facial expressions are, how differently is he acting to a particular video than how a normal kid would do. And the traditional ways of doing it was like, think of like 3 to 4 hour long questionnaire-based method. So let's say you're a parent, I'm a psychologist, I ask you a set of 50, 60 questions, and these are tough questions and you have to rank it on a scale of 1 to 5. Now, the problem in that is that either the parent has already screened through those questions and they know what they want, so there's a misdiagnosis rate, either they overcommit and overtell, or it's an undercommitment which they are not sharing. Now, and this takes a lot of time, and the first signs are usually observed by pediatricians. Now, the rate, if I am a pediatrician, I'm telling you to go to a developmental pediatrician or a psychologist, there's an 80% drop rate. So they don't go up, because if I tell you tomorrow that your child might need to be checked for a psychological treatment, you'll probably question me first, then think again, and then maybe take a decision. Now, where we come in is now there's like an Ai.gnosis booth at your pediatric clinic or a preschool where there's just a laptop, this is my software in it. You make the child sit, watch a video, and you get a report directly, and you show him with scientific proofs that yes, your child certainly have some red flags. I think there's detailed assessments and there's a need for him to go through that treatment plan.
Very interesting. Would you like to add something?
Yeah, so because both of our parents are doctors, we figured that the healthcare system right now is basically catering to acute diseases. So even when you go to a pediatrician with your child, you would go because bukhar hai or something like that. But they don't care about the long-term implications of a delayed milestone, and that's what we want to attend to. The point was, if you catch them early, because the child's neuroplasticity is very high in the beginning and it loses as the time goes on. If you catch those early, that's like critical period of window where you have to give therapy or. So the point is like the space is so underfunded funded, it's not under scrutiny. For example, cancer is. So there's a lot of effort into cancer because it's an acute, like you can feel it viscerally. But this thing is also visceral. When you talk to the families, you can see how painful it is. Like across, it's like you're reducing pain of a whole family for the whole life if you interject early. And that's where it's critical. And our tool is very scalable. The traditional methods are not scalable. So that was the main driving force in our design of it.
I think we come from that background as well. So I come from a background of BTech in Artificial Intelligence from Virginia Tech and NMIMS. In my third year, I was working on a diabetic retinopathy project where I was applying AI in healthcare. And I was seeing its implications of what is happening to the hospital. So I was working with a team. Before the project was on, there was only 5 or 6 individuals which was screened for that particular disease or disorder. After the AI was built, the hospital was doing 50 tests per day at 1/10 of the cost. So that's where I realized that there's a big value add and there's actually an impact which is happening. I got a job at Kellogg's as an AI engineer. So I left my job. He left his PhD offer and we both came back to Jaipur. And it was usually a dinner table conversations happening. And that's where we got to know that there's a 6-month waiting line in our old child developmental center. Now, I was very worried and I thought that why is this not alarming to you? And he was like, it takes that much time, so that's why there has to be a waiting. There are very less centers and nobody has that kind of access. So that's where we thought of a way where why not do it quickly, because if you diagnose it as early, the treatment part can start pretty quick. And in the same time, we were constantly researching and we saw that there are 2 big companies in US who are doing it already. They have raised more than $25 million. They're on the Series B, 5-6 years. One is early tech and one is Cognoa. And that's where we realized that, yes, that the science behind it is good enough to make a product and make it for India.
When I saw your deck, the first thing that took me aback was the numbers around autism that you had put on the first slide. If you could walk us through that, because I didn't know how big of a gap there is.
It's actually getting very, very bad nowadays, after COVID especially. So the numbers were in 2019 or 17, it's 1 in 100. Now, during COVID, it was something about 1 in 68 when we started our research. Now, the latest numbers are 1 in 36. That's equivalent to US. So it's getting so worse because of the social dynamics, how it's changing. So there are nuclear families, the pregnancies are late, and the social, so basically, what is autism? The child has hard time communicating and getting social cues, like understanding social interactions, right? But children now are spending so much time in front of screen that they do not even know how to pick up any social cues. And it's getting worse. It's called virtual autism. So even if the child does not have a propensity for, like, genetically the propensity for autism, he would show up symptoms. Yeah, and that's why getting to preschool, children do show like a good like improvement.
You guys should tie up with Lab Store, which is our...
We have already met them, yeah, and at Shark Tank, yeah.
Do you think it's because of the teachings way that India has, or like the school culture or something like that?
So we say there are learning disabilities. I would say those are teaching disabilities. And the teachers turn around and say, okay, it's learning disability. Like Elon Musk is neurodiverse. So in some sense, he's thinking in a bizarre way. That's just not meant for school.
Thank you, guys.
So what we're doing at Drink, the brand's called Drink. What we're doing is we're basically building a go-to beverage brand for the future. As in how I say it, our model is pretty much a beverage QSR chain. It's called Drink. Our menu is very concise. We have matcha, coffee, and slushies. And it's a reflection of the customers we serve to. It's the Gen Zs and millennials. And we also have a sister brand called Bite. So it's Drink and Bite, which is all about your 3 categories like coffee, matcha, slushies, and sandwiches. That pretty much captures. That's actually, we've done a lot of research through events, through websites, pop-ups, so much that these are the 5-6 categories that people love. And the idea is that today when you have these products, okay, great. Consistent quality is one thing that's lacking a lot in this country in terms of...
So how would you distinguish yourself? Like, I did a day last week with a bunch of different coffee guys, some kombucha guys, some tonic guys. We were shooting actually a podcast on that industry.
Right.
So if I have a coffee shop, a kombucha shop, and a alternate drinks shop, where do you fit in? Or do you have a fourth store? What will it be called?
So ideally, Drink is the brand is very strong into community building. Every single of our audience is tied up to what Drink is all about and what it does, the ethics. So as I was saying, what differentiates us is
there caffeine in your product?
We have, so again, if there's coffee, there's of course caffeine. There's matcha has some caffeine. Slushies do not. We also have smoothies and milkshakes.
Is it healthier in some way? So what is your pick? Like, what is that one thing why I should pick Drink? Okay, I'm on Swiggy and I'm seeing 4 different things. Why do I pick Drink?
I'll get to the basics. Is where we differentiate ourselves is that every single product is 50% lower calories compared to any single other brand. That's one thing. Second thing is the kind of categories we have under one brand. It captures. So today, I'll give you an example. If you are going to a coffee place, let's say 2 of y'all are there. 2 friends are going to a coffee place. One wants a matcha, one wants a coffee. The person who's getting a matcha is not going to get a good experience because that's the coffee shop and that's what they specialize in. And if you go to any cafe and you ask them, okay, why isn't this matcha as good? Be like, this is on our menu, this is just a part of it, and we're just a coffee brand. So,
and more than that, it's like how you said the categories like coffee, kombucha, the other drinks. We are fighting for thirst ideally, right? At a coffee shop, you don't really get an experience of a slushy or like a milkshake. It's everyone's using the same syrup, which is Monin or Peckers, and which is where we come in. We want to develop with each beverage. That's why we have only 5 options in each categories. We don't want to explore with giving like 25 options of each coffee or etc. You want to limit it to like 5 options or like 6 options of what you're having and be more creative and break boundaries in terms of what you're providing and giving it more attention, because nowadays it's just like every coffee shop you go to, the menu is pretty much the same, and we don't want to be stuck in that category. We want to break boundaries and make things different, have our spaces to be designed in a different way with every space we open, so that people founders like us or like people who are like-minded can come have their conversations, coffee meetings, etc., etc.
What price point is your coffee at?
Starts from 200, 185, 200, go up to 300, 325.
Yeah, it's a very competitive place. I'll tell you from the little bit of experience that I have as an investor in some of these coffee brands. It always helps to have a clearer demarcation of what sets you apart. Because I hear you when you're saying you're doing a bunch of different kind of drinks under one roof, and on top of it is community and marketing and branding, events and all of that. But long term, to have a clearer demarcation is probably a good thing. The great thing about coffee is it's essentially a drug which is legal, right? Like it gets you high. So I was asking really dumb questions last week. If you have 200 milligrams of caffeine in this particular drink, the cold brews have more, the hot have less. What happens if you put 1,000 milligrams? Will a customer come back more often? Like really dumb questions, right? Like a layman question. But I feel like with coffee, you have that advantage, or the coffee guys have that advantage, that once you try it, you're hooked to it, not for the branding, but for the high that it's giving you. When you're doing slushies, matcha I know has caffeine, but I don't know how much. When you're doing the other stuff and broadening, I feel like you need a different message than they do. Also, this drink market in India is so complicated because when you look at the West and you account for real estate to cost of cups sold, you're able to serve up a lot more cups because the culture is of people buying a coffee and then walking with it. India somehow has sidestepped that altogether. Nobody's buying a coffee or a slushie or a matcha and walking the streets. So your return on the real estate is significantly lower than the West. So it can't be a business model that mimics what worked there in a way. So it's very, very complicated and nuanced as a space. Nobody's making money, you know that, right? Like everybody who is scaled.
So as I do get a point of the competitive, but that's why I think where we stand out is again, if you see the competitors, they're fighting for the bean, who has the best bean, who has the best locations. That's pretty much.
I don't think so. I don't think anymore. So most coffee shops in India now get 50% from coffee and 50% from food. The ones with the hot kitchen right now are getting a little bit of a spike up. But community is at the bottom of all of this. Like even if you look at Starbucks, it runs as a loyalty program. Right. Even today, I think, I mean, I'll be biased in saying this, but I think Sabco has got community right to a certain extent. Right. Their entire premise is that.
I think it's design more than community.
Sabko? Design and community, I think.
I mean, I feel like whenever, like, with personal experience, we keep going around and seeing what is happening. So it's more about the people are coming there for, like, how tourists roam around places. People are coming in as tourists. Kyunki mujhe ye dekhna hai. That's why they're coming there. But I don't see it's entirely for the product that they're coming there. It's just because of the vibe they're coming there. And I feel with that, it's like how I would compare it to, like, tourist high places, like a place like Jaipur, a place like, you know, which is Goa. Like, not right now, but like a place like Jaipur. So people, like, the crowd that is coming there is very tourist heavy. So if you're available there, and if you're available for an Indian audience, or even if expats were coming here, they would want to enjoy those flavors. They would want to come there. They would want to see that.
But when you say community, is there a thing that they can come around? Like, okay, I know the drink community, but having matcha, coffee, or slushies is not the idea of community to me.
It's the community is based on the fact that we have all the options available. So if you're coming in with a group of 4 or a 3 or a 2, or even if you want to come alone, you're coming from that one particular product that you like, or one particular category that you like. But we have other options available when you want to come with a group. Like if a family is walking into our store, like, you know, like a mom, dad, and the child are walking in. So everyone can choose their opinion and don't have to run around here and there. So if you're the children...
But it's a bit like saying if I start a restaurant and have Chinese food and biryani and pizzas and everything, more people will come.
That's just like the bottom line of the F&B, right? Today, again, the foundation is good looks, good product, and how easily accessible you are. Because I say this one thing, your most favorite beverage is your closest one, and closest to your place where it's convenient for you, right? And ideally, community is that brand where it's not the closest, but you take the effort of going to that place to get a certain product.
It's a very, very costly thing to build a brand without a novelty, because that inherently takes away virality. Like I was looking at this non-alcoholic beer brand in the US, which is growing faster than beer this year, Athletic Greens. I think it's incredible that they're doing almost better than Heineken and like all of these large brands. But they have that novelty element. I feel like maybe you could also benefit from a hero novelty element. It'll bring down the cost of building the community maybe.
I think that will also something that will translate through. I agree what you're saying. It will translate through time, and of course building the touch points and having the experience. But
my question is just around the all these options coming up. Like, is there a reason why? Like, is there space for more beverage and F&B brands to come up? Is it because of the growing middle class or something in India? Like, why is that? Why build something like this now?
Oh, for sure. I think with the factor of middle class increasing, like if you see, like say 5-7 years back, you would even like hesitate to get a can of Coke, right? But now, or a Red Bull, say, for that matter. Like, but now it's become like an everyday thing for people, like that can of Red Bull or a cup of coffee. Like 5 years, 6 years back when 12 years back when Starbucks just came in, people were like hesitant to go to Starbucks. But now you see those same places filled every day with the same people or different people. And it's growing every day. Like, you see, compare it to what the market is abroad and how big it is, the beverage market alone, you can understand, like, and India is a place where the climate just benefits it so much, like, the humidity, the heat and everything. And people are always thirsty. They want something to have, they want something to, like, enjoy. And if it's a coffee and it's a nice beverage, you're clearly enjoying it, like, most of the time. So that's the factor you play in with a tropical place like this. And any other, like if you see which is a better market than India, which is Indonesia or like Thailand or something like that, they rely on their beverages, and it's not the quantity of what they have. Yeah, they have like 500, 700 mLs of beverage on a daily basis.
Are we at that phase of the industry where, you have 100 people coming in and then 10 years from now, there'll be like 10 people left and, like where are we at in this phase of this industry?
We are at where, I think where AI is at right now, like how it's going to boom and people are hoping to make things in it. Now the industry is going to have that J curve, what you say, and then that's where more players will come in, and older players will start building their foundation from now, and they'll be there at that point.
Let's hope you're right.
Why not be the NVIDIA for this space? Why not make the machines that all of these companies will be used to, regardless of who's successful?
See, machines is something like, obviously we would want to get into the RTD space.
It's very commoditized and very competitive. Most people in India buy foreign machines not because they're able to throw out more number of coffees or better quality, but optically it looks better. Like if you walk into a store and you see that Morozzo, that brand La Morozzo.
So that's a good space then, right? India doesn't have anything like that.
The attachment towards Italian equals good coffee is so strong that...
No, there are many Chinese examples. So it's not that problem. It's more a question of why do you think a Ferrari is Ferrari and a, let me not name a brand, but an Indian brand is an Indian car brand. But thank you guys. Super. And best of luck. Who would like to go next? Yes, please.
So at BYTES, we are building India's first AI-powered ADAS for two-wheeler vehicles. So I want to...
What is ADAS?
ADAS is driver assistance systems. So that is what you are building. So I would like to take a little backstory on why specifically two-wheelers. So I'm from a small town called Varanasi. It is in Uttar Pradesh. So around 2015, 2016, we didn't used to have phones or internet there. So my neighbor actually installed a Wi-Fi at his home. So he got 3 GB, 1 GB of data in 3G and 2G unlimited. I was allowed to use 1 hour every day on their internet. So there, while surfing through YouTube, I got introduced to a YouTuber called Mumbaikar Nikhil. And I was fascinated. That guy was doing 1,800 kilometers of bike ride from Mumbai to Ladakh on a Duke 390 kind of a bike with all the luggage, and he's wearing a cool jacket and everything. I was fascinated. I want to do this. We had cycles, so I could never go further than 15 to 20 kilometers. So it was restricted on that part. I had to come back at 7 p.m. My father bought me a bike when I was in my 10th, when I was completing my 10th. It was INS Vikrant 150cc. It was launched during that time from Bajaj. So I was excited. I was like, up to ride karna hai. So on but I was not allowed because I didn't have license and there was no, it's not safe. Two-wheelers are not safe, right? So on my birthday, I snuck out, told that I was going to coaching. And I went to a place called Lakhania Dari. It's around 60 kilometers away from Varanasi. Very, very beautiful place. Very nice. So, but I didn't have any gears. I had an old style helmet. I had a gamcha because it was March or April, extremely hot in Varanasi. My first 120 kilometers trip from Varanasi to Lakhania Dari and back. Came back at around 7 p.m. Extremely scared, but I loved it. I loved the experience, the thrill of riding a bike. Fast forward to me completing my graduation. I've completed my BTech from Amrita Vishwavidyapitham, Amritapuri. I got a job, fortunately well-paying job. So in my job, I was building a completely autonomous self-driving vehicle for India. So we did a live demo in Bengaluru Embassy Tech Village as well, where Infosys co-founder sat in the vehicle, took a complete round on a completely autonomous vehicle. So big achievement for us. There, I got some money in hand, so I bought a 390 Adventure, KTM 390 Adventure. I started going on small rides. I bought it on 19th November 2023. On 20th November 2023, I completed 101 kilometers on that bike. So I was extremely eager to ride. After 10-15 days, I decided I want to learn more and I want to go on a longer ride, a very long ride.
Even I used to ride bikes when I was smaller.
Cool. So what I did was I bought some gears and everything, and I went on a 8,500 kilometer road trip across India, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and back solo. Average 600 kilometers daily. It was amazing. Amazing.
What is it about riding bikes that appeal to you so much?
The freedom. So whenever I'm in a car, I feel I'm stuck. I can't connect with nature. If you are riding on a two-wheeler, you're open, you have freedom to see. You are well connected with the wind, the environment. You are in a car, it's like the AC is on, you'll not know it's a sunny day or it's a rainy day or it's a very good windy day. So I like being present in nature. So
what bike do you have now?
KTM 390 Adventure. So I've completed around 15,000 to 20,000 kilometers on that bike.
Which is not a lot.
I mean, so for the
So, but you're saying 1.5 years.
Yeah. So most of the ride was completed in 7 months. After that, I was working on the startup, so didn't get much time to go on a ride.
Where do you live now?
So I'm in HSR layout, Bengaluru. Here only.
You don't want to ride there. You're not going to go anywhere.
So while riding itself, I realized, it's very unsafe. I mean, every day I used to face 2 to 3 experiences that I might fall, I might get involved in a very big accident or something. So I started talking to people. I got connected to multiple riding community across Bangalore, everywhere when I go. So I realized it is a common problem for everyone. They all love riding, but two-wheelers are very unsafe. So this is where we first started BYTES. So Ayush is my co-founder. I first met him at our previous company. He was working in the founder's office. I introduced him to the problem
statement. Which company was that?
-0.
Yeah. So I introduced him to the problem statement. We started delving deeper into why two-wheelers are unsafe, how many accidents occur, what are their rates of accidents. So we found that all the accidents that happen currently globally, around 50 million accidents happen every year globally, out of which more than 60% of them happen because of two-wheeler involvement. That is a big number. That is more than 15 million two-wheeler riders getting hurt or dying every year. So we decided we need to build some kind of safety system, and not just for a limited few, but for people, or let's say we want to democratize it. We want to make sure that everyone has access to ADAS systems in their vehicle. So this is where we started BYTES. We went to all of the showrooms. So we started with prototyping. So we went to all of the showrooms across Bangalore. We talked to a lot of people asking, if let's say we give you certain features in this vehicle, let's say a Honda Activa, would you be willing to buy it or not? Are you interested? Are you even, do you even know what ADAS is for two-wheeler? So we got a very good response. Around 50 to 60 people, 50 to 60% of people we talked to out of 1,000 people, they were interested in getting some kind of ADAS feature into their vehicle, where they're like, yes, if there is a safety feature at a decent cost, I'll buy it. So this is where we first, got introduced. We also had a conversation with Hero. We also have a conversation with Honda. We started conversations with OEMs because we wanted to be tier 1s. So we had conversation with around 12 OEMs. Currently, 5 of them we are partnering with for the pilot phase. So this point, we understood that there is a problem. There is a need in the market. People are looking for these kind of solution, or OEM are looking for these kind of solution because it allows them to have a brand differentiator. It also allows them to have an added safety feature. We are also trying to start conversation with Ather as well. So this is what we understood. Now we wanted to understand that whether it's a VC fundable business or not. When our VC is looking forward to put money into this kind of thing. So I guess we had a conversation with almost all of the VCs that
So I mean,
that
we
exist
almost
right now.
conversed with more than 70 folks in Bangalore, right? I mean, 50% of told, good idea, let us execute. We was very early stage.
So we were in the
even at
prototyping stage, so exploring the market and everything. Currently, we got offer from Antler. We also had a conversation with Advantage, so I believe he will be here
he will be today here.
Yeah.
So we already had a conversation 2 days back with him. So he told, I mean, great idea, first mobility fund of India.
And how much money is it that you guys need to raise?
So we are looking to raise 500K USD right now. So this is the pre-seed round which we are looking to raise. We already have a commitment of 250K around from another VC. But yeah, the left of the money. We are even thinking can we increase the fund to 1 million so that it gives us a larger spend, and the pilot can be increased more faster. And might we see some deployments on Bangalore with some of the gig workers. So we are trying to talk to insurance partners. We are talking to OEMs who are, let's say for example, Bounce. So they are selling to all of these, delivery partners. They're seeing around 85 lakhs of kilometers on a monthly basis. So this data is very important to us. Our vision is that we will start deployment. Many of the VCs and folks ask that why you're entering with two-wheelers. Four-wheelers is a much faster rate. ADAS is already a hard term there. But while working at -0, our previous company, we understood that we are building such a cool technology sitting in India, in Bangalore, that would come down to in India at least after 10 years down the road. Let us be very frank to ourselves. Autonomous vehicle in India, it will take time, right? And the cost of deployment, the cost of even doing a data collection in four-wheelers is like 1 crore per vehicle. Prakhar was leading that vertical there. We understood that the cost is very huge. But for us, collecting data in two-wheelers is just like 5 lakh rupees, with including the cost of the vehicle. But here the cost of the vehicle is borne by the OEM. So we are like
we have reduced down the cost to almost negligible amount. That comes to 4,000 to 5,000 rupees at the company. So that allows us to be very flexible with recording a lot of data on multiple vehicles at the same time.
So our vision is we'll start deploying these vehicles, let's say 2 years, 3 years down the line. We'll have a minimum. So our vision is we have to be present in 500,000 units of vehicles by the next 3 years, where we are even seeing a strong interest from the Asian countries like Indonesia, because the two-wheelers is a very high, and we are talking to a brand called iAuto there. So we are trying to convert that deal even we can implement.
But the problem is big. And like the problem statement has been there for like a very long amount of time, and Ola's and Ather has been there and they have their own vehicle. Why hasn't this been already been done by some, say like an Ola or say like an Ather?
So if you look at the market right now, all of the OEMs have started building their hypothesis on these ADAS technology. Even Ather as well have introduced skid control system. They have planned to introduce certain kind of ADAS system later in the market. The thing is, an OEMs first take a technology, put it into their vehicle and test the market on what is the response from an end consumer. Are they buying it for that price hike? Because anything that they add, either 100 rupees or 200 rupees, adds to the consumer cost. So this is where they also try to gauge the interest from the end consumers. For example, Ultra Wallet has started working on a lot of ADAS features. So they have introduced one vehicle that they want to launch in 2026, where they are using, again, skid control systems and one very simple collision alert kind of features. Even Hero has introduced your emergency brake light kind of feature into their vehicle, and that is all under 4 lakh rupees. So the market is now started to understand the need of safety feature, and OEMs are in other way also looking for a brand differentiator because the market is getting cluttered. All the new players have to enter the same segment, the same price band, offering similar features.
Just to add on to the answer, like why OEMs are not doing it directly or by themselves. So how you have seen like ADAS in four-wheelers happened. For example, Mahindra is one of the famous company who is doing ADAS. But so there is a technology partner to it called as Mobileye. It's an Israeli listed company, already been in the industry. Their focus is again autonomous vehicle, but they are coming with ADAS. And all of the Mahindra vehicle which you're currently seeing is powered by Mobileye. So the deployment rate, the faster how it goes to the market, is easier with an OEM with a technology partner only. Hence, all of these OEMs want a technology partner. But again, in the two-wheeler market, the deployment has to be more faster because the market is running very fast compared to a four-wheeler game. Like for example, a very good example came to our mind is Ola launched on 15th of August that they want to launch ADAS in the two-wheeler vehicles. On 16th September, the next month, Ather launched that they want to do skid control. So the market is replicating very faster. So hence, they want technology partner like us to make sure that GTM to the market is as fast as how they are thinking in approach of ADAS into two-wheeler vehicles.
Plus, in fleet operator scenarios, our costing can come down to as low as 5 rupees per day. So around 150 to 300 rupees per month for a rental cost on a basis.
So just understand. So here we are replicating a subscription model for all of these fleet management companies and a direct purchase model for all of the bigger OEMs like Ather and Olas of the world.
Super. Thank you, guys.
Hi guys, my name is Dr. Siddhant Bhargav. These are my co-founders Shalmali and Mitansh. So we successfully made the world's first mental health wearable. Essentially, we're solving for chronic stress and its symptoms. Our ideology is very simple. World is moving fast. Ambition is always coupled by stress. And people are realizing, or in fact, I realize that I have no real need to be remembered after I'm gone. And more people are remembering that or understanding that. So they want to start living in the present, but they have no hope in terms of how do you live at ease. So the entire proposition is create a range of variables or create an ecosystem where people can take back control in terms of being able to feel calm whenever they want. Essentially, to give you a little science behind it, in school we were taught that you've got the fight and flight response, your sympathetic nervous system. Now, because you've got so many, I wouldn't call them distractions, but so many stressors, your sympathetic system is always active, and your parasympathetic system is actually down-regulated. So if you look at your parents or your grandparents, they had the ability to come back to homeostasis or normality much quicker than we do. What we're trying to do at InnerGize is create a solution-based wearable. So we've got a device that sticks behind your ear. It sends in low voltage electrical currents to your nervous system, and within a matter of 10 minutes, we can de-stress you on demand. So a whole new category of wearables which are not diagnosing your stress, because I find them useless for lack of better word. There's no actionable insight. There's no real positive health
What does it
outcome.
mean when the Whoop says you're stressed?
So it means that, okay, essentially they're capturing your heart rate data and your sleep data, and your heart rate data is pretty accurate, and they're basing a lot of their complex algorithms just based on your heart rate data. So when they say you're stressed, it means your heart rate is above normality, and then they've sort of trained it to understand what your lifestyle looks like. Now, when Whoop says you're stressed, what do you do about it? Like Whoop tells me, or say the Aura Ring tells me.
Get more stressed.
Exactly the point. So it'll tell you your heart rate is up. You've not slept well. Kal se 1 ghanta jaldi sona. How do I do it?
It tells me that every day. Sleep now, sleep now.
Yeah, what do I do? And that's why they're declining, right? Like I stopped using wearables because मैं क्या करूँ इसका? So that's why we realized कि.
But this passing electric current to your nervous system, is that like okay?
It's super safe. So essentially the vagus nerve stimulating technology is about 30 years old. And it used to be invasive in nature because it was used only for like refractive seizures or like depression that wasn't getting cured. So you cut open a slit in your neck and you put a pacemaker in, and that's how you stimulated the vagus nerve. As engineering started evolving, we realized that things can be made non-invasive. And as engineering evolved further, we realized that you can miniaturize things. So now we've made the world's smallest, most portable vagus nerve stimulator, way ahead of competition globally. And we've got 3 clinical studies under our belt, 1 clinical trial, we're CDSU approved, we're filing for our FDA license. We've raised about 6.5 crores, we're trying to raise 3 million more. Sorry, I'm going fast, because we've got literally 10 minutes before we leave. But yeah, we're trying to create a whole new category of wearables because we believe that in the time to come, this might become the new normal. Like how smartphones became smartphones, we're trying to sell the first solution-based wearable in the world.
You can't plug this into an existing wearable?
We will, eventually. We will eventually. We can probably plug it behind your spectacles and things like that.
Or earphones.
That's what we can do eventually. But yeah, a whole new category of wearables.
How many orders now?
We've done about 2,600 orders if you count the purchase order that we're going to receive from a mental health forward fintech startup, which is roughly translates to about 1.5 crores in revenue. We launched sometime first week of April. That's why we start shipping out the product. But overall, I think it's been a great experience because we started realizing that the intent or the signaling is very strong. Like I spoke to about 150 customers over the last 1 month. And the ones that I did speak to, all they have to say is that, you know, whatever you're claiming, agar tum iska 50% bhi kar doge, chalega. Because when you're dealing with anxiety or stress, you can't sleep, you're just looking for hope that you can actually take back control. And if you can provide hope to a person, I think that's the strongest signal that you can provide to them. So that's where we're trying to get at.
Give us some beta version if you have, we'll test it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Are you going to go the Whoop route or the full-time purchase route?
So we've got a recurring model to it as well. We've got a module which sends in electricity, and that module is rechargeable. So we offer 25 days of battery life, plus it's very sleek. Even the charger case is very sleek. You can fit it in the small little pocket of your pant, the same logic there. Now we've got patches that conduct this electricity. So in order to make your skin more conductive, you need hydrogel to be stuck on there. So we use dry electrodes. And these patches attach magnetically to your device. Now these patches need to be replaced every 14 sessions. So once you run out of patches, you have to come back and buy more from us. And our price point is also very, I wouldn't even call it mass premium. It can eventually move to a mass price point. So we're 5,000 rupees for the module and then 500 rupees for the patches worth 2 months. So 250 rupees per month is the added cost that you have to keep paying, and you buy this module for like a one-time purchase of 5,000 rupees.
Does it, like the recurring use of this, does it hamper your own ability to handle your own stress?
Not at all. So we're actually the opposite of dependency, because what we're doing is, so let's take meditation as an example. People who've practiced meditation for say a year, 2 years, they actually come out there and spread the word that meditation has changed me. And say 5 years ago, I wouldn't really realize what are they talking about. How does just breathing and focusing change you? But what it creates is neuroplasticity. So you're actually rewiring your brain in order to make more positive connections to handle stress better, which means you're increasing your stress resilience. Now we're doing exactly that, but faster. So say you've used, or if you stimulated the vagus nerve, ठीक है और technical बता देता हूँ. When you stimulate the vagus nerve, you end up stimulating various parts of the limbic system. The limbic system is essentially what controls a large part of emotion, retaliation, resilience. So after a certain duration, you create new neural networks that make you more resilient to a stressor. So say your stressor today was, my stressor today was I couldn't have a conversation with Nikhil Kamath in the room. And that would make me, say, panic. So I use my device. But 6 months of using my device, that stressor is no longer a stressor for me. So if Nikhil and Nitin both were in the room, that would cause me stress. But just Nikhil being in the room doesn't cause me stress anymore.
It's not like an addiction, right?
It's not. Because I'm making you more resilient to a stressor of the same magnitude. Now, if the amount of stressors or the magnitude of stressors go up, you still will need more positive actions. But the same magnitude of stressor is no longer a stressor for you.
So it's like if I have a limited number of stresses in my life, over 3 years, my dependence of your product would, like, I would not use it.
Exactly. But the goal is to be able to create more ergonomic products that can actually create profound impacts in terms of mental health, because I've experienced my share of mental health, bad mental health, and you can only understand it's bad and you can only solve for it once you've really felt what it feels like. So to be able to create more products and like an ecosystem so that people can actually solve okay, it's like this. If you have a fever, you take a paracetamol. But when it comes to having bad mental health, what do? You can't. Like, there is no go-to method to be able to solve for mental health. Of course, therapy did get democratized and it's very effective. But not everyone does it. It's too expensive. It's time-taking. And the world's too fast to be able to sit back down and do therapy every single day. So if you can create something that can have a predictable outcome in terms of solving for mental health, that's the game changer. And that's what we're trying to make.
Is also age a criteria, like above this particular age, people can use?
As of today, it's a criteria because we haven't tested it on people below 18, but tomorrow it might not be a criteria. So now there's a natural cutoff system that the app will also have that prevents a person from wearing it too much, but up to 60 minutes of stimulation per day is absolutely safe. It's safe. And what will happen is after 10 minutes, the discomfort of wearing it for say 20-30 minutes will make you get it off. So it's naturally limiting and a user can't use it more often.
I think children with ADHD could have a positive impact. We can figure out a clinical study.
So the beauty is that from being neurodivergent to actually moving up to stroke rehabilitation, we can do it all. It's just about when you want to apply which use case. And we've chosen the base of the pyramid because most people are trying to get at the top of the pyramid. They're solving for clinical depression, clinical anxiety. But if you look at the number of people who are just here and going through the rigmarole every single day, the volumes are huge. It's just too many people.
Is there a board or authority who gives us certification?
Yes. So in India, there's something called CDSCO that approves you to sell as a medical device. But if you did want to sell as a wellness device...
So, but do they give a ranking or like this is 5-star best?
It's A, B, C, D ke hisab se based on how risky you are. So that is done. But the real goal is to get your FDA license this year so that you can start selling in America as a medical device early next year. And that changes the game completely.
Thank you, guys. Who would you guys like to go?
Hi, I'm Vikram Pai. This is Rohan Verma. He's my best friend and co-founder. And before I get started, I'd like to thank everybody over here, Arshia, Vivek, Suchit, Harmid, Piyush for this opportunity, and thank you, Nikhil, for giving us your platform to share on. We're grateful to be here. So ReferRush does customer referrals for e-commerce brands. We enable e-commerce brands like Ai.gnosis if you're selling to customers, NRGize, O-Nuts, if you guys get online, to build your own custom customer referral program to get your customers to refer their friends and make you basically pay for marketing after the sale. Currently in D2C, there are only 3 ways of acquiring customers: Google and Facebook, influencers, which is incredibly fragmented, and word of mouth. So what we do is we provide you an entire SaaS solution to build your own custom customer referral program, customize the messages, customize the offer.
A bit like Rewards 360?
No, so Rewards 360 is a bit different. They do referrals through like emails and also for everything. We are focused only on D2C. So what we do is if somebody makes a purchase from NRGize, they'll receive a personalized WhatsApp message saying, "Hey Nikhil, thank you so much for purchasing from NRGize. Share this link with a friend and give them 10% off and get ₹300 in cash." What you'll do is you'll share that to Arshia. Arshia will get a message saying, "Nikhil sent you a
By
gift."
message, you mean like a text message?
Like a WhatsApp, email, SMS. It also shows up in the thank you page. And what happens from there is Arshia will get a message which she can use. It'll say, Nikhil sent you a gift, and she can go and purchase from there. When she purchases from there, you will receive 500 rupees or 300 rupees, whatever, in cash back. And we provide the tools to A/B test to see exactly what the best offer is and how you should contact your customers. So we were working on a previous product before this affiliate. It was called My Plaza. And it completely failed, but we learned from that a powerful e-commerce formula, which is sales is equal to eyeballs into conversion rate. That's it.
And are you live?
Yeah, we're live. So we launched around 9 months ago, and we're fully profitable. We're making around 2,500, 3,000 in MRR. We've generated 1.6 crores for our customers. I'd like to give a shout out to Ganesh from MyFredo. He really helped us get here. And so
What did he do?
I was reaching out to hundreds, like over 500 e-commerce brands, and I reached out to him, and they do over 70,000, 80,000 orders, and he gave us a chance. And with that, we just worked super hard, just both of us, and we've contacted over 1 million people, already. And it took us 4 months to get to 2 lakhs and 3 months to get to 1 crore. So right now, we're going out and raising a round of capital. But what we're seeing is that we are desperately needed in e-commerce because all VC funding goes to Facebook and Google ads. You have to, right?
But they bring the money also. So it's right that they take it back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's separate, but...
I mean the Westerners.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So what we're seeing is trust is what's incredibly important to make a purchase. On average, I'm sure their conversion rates are like 1%, 1.5%. We have an average of 6% conversion rate on our platform. That's because we agonize and study over the design. We make it feel as though it's a gift, that Nikhil is gifting Arshia something. So right now, we're profitable. We have had to turn away over like 60 or 70 brands who have come to us because we just need to build a team. And we believe the market is so big. We have some incredible customers like MyFredo. Nykaa is one of our customers. Mensa, who's been on the platform. We're generating around, for some brands, 2 to 3% of their sales already. And for some brands, all the way up to 5% of their sales. We believe we can build an incredibly robust product that can get to 10 to 15% of all e-commerce sales in the world.
But once you give them the customer, the recurring sale, anything comes to you?
No. So we charge, if they use our code, we take a commission on every sale. We also charge monthly. We're figuring out our pricing, and we're working with some huge brands. So one of our biggest customers is Sleep. They do 1 billion ARR. We're working with the Indian wing, and they want to use us for Taiwan already and expand. They expect us to use.
As you said that the customer gets a cashback,
Sure.
And as a brand, if I'm signing up, who pays for the cashback?
So the brand pays the cashback, and we disperse it to the customers. So what the challenge for us is to build not a marketplace. For the challenge for us is to build be compliant internationally with every single tax law. So we need to open up subsidiaries in America, Europe, Dubai, everywhere if we want to expand. And also on top of that is to create a system where it's incredibly easy to use, right? So for our referral links, you don't need to sign up. It's 1 click to share, 1 click to purchase. It feels like you're getting a gift from somebody. And on top of that, the money that you get is 1 click to the team.
How much do you charge monthly, and what is the commission you charge?
It depends on the size of your company. So if we're doing between 0 to 1,000 sales, we charge, right now, too little, we charge like $60 a month. We're going to increase it to 120. And then if you're doing above, say, 40,000, 30,000 sales orders a month, we charge you like $2,000 a month. So for one of our customers, we've taken up like a full $12,000, $13,000 upfront payment, and we take 0.5% commission on them, but we know we're charging them too less because we've delivered like already 13x the value. They've charged them $3,000, and we've made them $125,000 in sales. And what we need to do now is go into the depth of this entire product. So say you get a referral link and you send it to Arshia, and Arshia has put it into her cart. We'll send a message to Nikhil saying your friend Arshia has added to her cart, send her a bump, right? So what we need to understand is exactly how consumers behave, send them follow-ups at the right time, send them the right messaging. The messaging is incredibly important, the personalization, and just build a product that can decouple the reliance on Google and Facebook and move it into customers and get to 10, 15% of all referrals, of sales through referrals, and go on to build a $10 billion business.
Do you also do like cross-platform referrals? For example, I could see a synergy with InnerGize. So we have parents who are very stressed, and if we do a referral for them, we can get it.
So we don't do that. We're fully focused right now. Well, we believe in focus completely. So we say no to anything that's outside. So we only focus on getting your customers to refer their friends, because a trust factor is very important, right? So if you tell me, Vikram, use this because you have ADHD, I trust you. Or if I have back pain, I trust you. That's why we have a 6x conversion rate as compared to regular e-commerce.
Do you help, like, do you have a team to customize the messages?
So yeah, so we do have a team that helps you customize the messages. Customer success is very, very important to us. What we've realized is you can't just have a SaaS product. You need to have customer success to teach people how to do copywriting, right? Because some of our customers put a Mahabharata in their message, right? Nobody is going to read that, right? But at the same time, it needs to be trustworthy as well. So the challenge is to educate customers, but also add the guardrails to make the copywriting really high quality, because the customers feel like they know better, but we know better because we see the data and we've worked with several brands. So it's a challenge to figure out who to service. So right now we're focusing on the short tail, like the enterprise, rare rabbit, we're trying to get them on, trying to close niche, trying to go worldwide. And then it's to build a self-serve product that teaches the people who are getting started, like Vedang from Clapstone is going to use our software. We help a lot, but we need to figure out how to design a product that teaches them what exact copywriting they should use, right? Because that is actually the success and what is important. Because they don't know it, then they come back and blame us. But then my team's like, oh, it's their fault. And I tell them, no, it's our fault for not having a good enough product that teaches them how to create their own customer referral program. So, like, it's a large challenge because we're contacting all their customers, right? I've gotten calls at 1 a.m. at night, like saying, hey, like, there was a bug, right? There was a bug where like 8,000 customers got contacted at once. So like 7 follow-ups. He's like, what the hell, Vikram, blah, blah, blah. So I had to get up. I drove to his house. He was sleeping. I was throwing rocks at his balcony. Said, what have you done? He's like, oh, the code, something like that, right? So it's a very, very high-stakes business. And we've been like working 24/7, literally no breaks. Right now, we've built a team, like somehow with the money, we've bootstrapped at this point, but we desperately need to raise capital so that we can build a self-serve product and also build a great customer success team. One interesting insight about this is that I've done hundreds of sales calls, and I reach out to customers like you guys, and I ask them, like, hey, have you heard of customer referrals? You'll say yes, right? And I'll say, like, why haven't you implemented it? Do you know it's good? You say, yeah, of course it's good. You say, why haven't you implemented it? And the answer has fascinated me, which is nobody's approached us, right? Which means that it's not a push product, it's not a pull product. Nobody's searching for it. It's more so about us going out to them and doing a sales product.
Honestly, it's like, even if we tried, like, so for example, we were trying it through AI Sensei, like automating some flows. Sure. But we had to like make so many templates for the messages and like A/B test that. Yeah. But really, if you guys have like an expertise in that and you give us that, okay, in the health tech market, this works, this kind of messaging works, then it's way easier for us.
Yeah, so Rohan has been like dying onboarding these brands. He's like Vikram.
We can actually automate all of this process. We already know like what works for what kind of brands. Like suppose you're in a particular vertical, we already have seen like what exactly works here. So ideally, our first version aims at like just like getting your lab in like one click, all emails, everything running, all copywriting, all done. Just set up your like offers, etc. and that's it. So and we provide like as much data as possible so that you can see what is going on. We can also give you comparison data about what an average like good quality data looks like from a brand of a similar vertical, so that you can adjust also. So that's first we can maximize like your results.
Our KPI is sales acceleration, which basically means the second you sign up, we should have a brilliant product that gets you to 2% more sales, 5% more sales, 10% more sales as fast as possible. So every single decision that we make in product is under that lens, and every single decision that we make for customer success as well is under that lens. So we need to build a brilliant product team, a brilliant sales team, and also an incredible customer success team, and that's how we can go and build, like, we're certain, a $10 billion business.
Cool. Thank you.
So I'm Chaitanya Gulati from NASADYA. Unfortunately, my co-founders couldn't be here. They're back at school finishing their programs. So we're basically a clean tech startup. We're building batteries for hydrogen. The world sort of runs mostly on electrons, so we have batteries and stuff set up for that. But now because of climate change and just decarbonization, we're moving towards cleaner molecules. So hydrogen is a precursor in a lot of them, be it making synthetic fuels for aviation to making, let's say, ammonia that makes the fertilizer, which makes the food that made that thing you're eating. So for all of that, hydrogen is a big thing that's needed, but we don't really have a cheap, safe way to store all of that hydrogen. Currently, we compress it down to like 700 bar, 350 bar, which is insanely high pressure and very expensive because you have to use expensive compressors for all of that. The second is you liquefy it at minus 273 degrees Celsius, which is again, very expensive. It leaks, it's not safe. So all in all, at scale, people don't really have a cheap, safe way to store hydrogen. What we're building is a solid state storage solution that my team and I, we worked on out of Stanford, and now we're building this. It's ambient temperature and pressure, so it's super safe, and you don't really need to compress any gas. While all of that's true, our system is able to give you 6x more hydrogen in the same space of storage than you would in a compressed cylinder. So if you're using it like at a big industrial plant where space is again, very expensive, it's compact and it's storing a lot more hydrogen. It's also 2 times more dense than liquid hydrogen is. So yeah, we're at lab scale right now. We're set up both in SF and now in India. We're doing our R&D in Bombay, and we've got some LOIs from project developers. We've done all of that deep dives and customer interactions, and really not just the US or India, we've done conversations with over 200, not just individuals, but companies and people from CXOs to engineers in the companies to really understand the need of storage. And it's something that's very desperate because so far for the last 5-6 years for decarbonization, billions of dollars have been spent in making your hydrogen cheap so you can produce it cheaply. But then now next step in the value chain is being able to store all of that, which doesn't exist. And that's what my team and I are building.
Hi, I'm Satyendra. I'm founder of Neoperk Technologies. At Neoperk, we make large-scale soil testing and soil data collection, including soil organic carbon and nutrients, extremely easy, reliable, and cost-effective through our end-to-end solutions powered by advanced NIR spectroscopy and AI and machine learning models. I came across this idea, like I earlier explained, right? While sitting in college, we participated in this competition, got some funding, and just jumped into it. But I remember the first day, our mentor asked us, why will a farmer do soil testing, right? So we started talking to farmers. It all started here in Bangalore. We got funding from NSRCL AM Bangalore. So we started talking to farmers. What we realized is because of the soil health card scheme, farmers are aware that soil testing is important. It needs to be done, right? But there's not enough infrastructure. For example, there's 1 lab per 88,000 landholding farmers in the country. But each of these labs only have a testing capacity of about 10,000 samples annually. So it's this gap we wanted to solve through our devices, which is a completely chemical-free approach. But as we started working with the farmers, right, we also realized there are a lot of other gaps, right, beyond just testing lab infrastructure. It's like a farmer is hesitant in collecting his own sample, right? Plus, he doesn't have enough time to take his sample to a distant lab, right? And after testing as well, the reports, right, he's not able to understand, and so he'll just keep it and not use it. So because of that, I strongly feel our innovation lies in that end-to-end part, right? We work with B2B partners, right? What we pitch to them is you want to provide value-added services to the farmers, right? Soil testing is the start of it, right? So you can outsource this to us, right? We can be your exclusive soil testing partner. So far, we have worked with 20 plus B2B partners, which include Dehat, McCain, IFFCO Kisan, and many more. We have tested more than 10,000 samples, majorly across Maharashtra, but now we are expanding to other states, and we entered into Sri Lanka recently. On an average, a farmer who does soil testing through Neoperk sees a 15 to 20% improvement in his profitability due to reduction in input cost, improvement in productivity and yield.
Super. Thank you, guys. Great job to the WTFund team. I think this has been a great cohort. You guys are so incredibly impressive. I wish I was friends with you when I was your age. And I didn't make the friends with the people I ended up being friends with. But I think we'll continue this offline and we can get rid of all the weird light. Thank you all. Thank you.